Hey guys, it's Carolee. I just want to share an extra little mini episode with you every single week because I want you to know that it's possible to do this thing called living your best life and doing the thing that lights you up while being a busy mom. And I want to give you a little bit of a background, behind the scenes look at what's going on in my actual life and how I am doing this, how I'm doing the things that light me up and being a mom at the same time. So I'm going to tell you about what's going on in my life and the lessons that I'm learning. Take a listen. One of the things that I am absolutely most afraid of doing is unintentionally hurting people with my words or my actions. And I'm coming to realize that we can't always control how people are going to perceive us, and if they take offense when none was intended, and when things spiral out of control when we didn't mean for them to, we have to be able to forgive ourselves when things don't go the way we intended them to, and people may or may not be hurt by our actions, right? So we have to, it's really, really difficult when we accidentally hurt somebody, because most of us are not trying to. We really have the best intentions, and we are trying to show people love, and we're just doing our best in this world, right? We're all human beings who are trying our best to love people and just go about our days doing our very best. But sometimes we make mistakes, and we, put something out in the world that comes across differently than we intended it to. And I did this yesterday, and oh my word, I felt so bad. When I came to understand how it was perceived and how wrong I was, I felt so bad. I really sobbed for hours over what I had done. And in the exact moment that I had put it out into the world, I really had not realized the consequences of my actions, but as I had come to see those consequences, I felt really bad. And so I had been processing this over the last day and over the last few hours, and something came to me that I had said over, I don't know, last week or something. And that was that when somebody is really their best self, when somebody's really in a good place, they don't perceive us as badly or negatively, no matter what we've done. So my favorite quote comes from Frozen, and it's, people make bad choices when they're mad or scared or stressed. And that is my favorite quote because it can be so helpful in so many different situations, including in this one, in a totally different way than I've ever talked about it before. And that is just that people make bad choices when they're mad or scared or stressed, but the way that we perceive those bad choices is going to depend on how we ourselves are currently doing. If we are mad or scared or stressed, then we're going to perceive other people's choices in a way worse light. If I'm really hungry or really stressed out, or if I really need to pee, or if I'm overstimulated, then everything in the world bugs me. Everything gets on my nerves. It almost doesn't matter if you're doing good things or bad things or what it is you're doing. Everything drives me insane, and I'm very impatient. But if I'm taking care of myself, if I'm in a really good place, if I'm super in alignment, if I'm super living in love, then it doesn't matter what you do. I see you from that place of love. And so I was realizing that I made this mistake. I put something in the world that turned out to I shouldn't have, and it was, I realized that it was perceived in an unintended way. And I was really down on myself for hours and hours. And I was trying to figure out how to get past this because it was really dragging me down. Like I was crying for hours over it, and I was trying to lift my energy again and move past this because I couldn't change it. There was no amount of apology that could undo the thing I did. And so I was like, what other choice do I have? But, I could sit here and I could be upset over this for weeks, for years, and that would just be negativity, like spewed to everyone around me for however long I let this bring me down. Or I could figure out a way to move through it, and I could go back to being my happy self, trying to do my best again, going back to being sunshine and love, right? So I was trying to work my way through this. I made a mistake. I did something wrong. I didn't intend to. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody, but I did. And so how do I forgive myself? How do I work through this? And I realized that the people who I'm hoping forgive me, it doesn't even matter if they do or not. If they are coming from a place of love, then they won't even see what I did as, like, it'll just brush right off of them. And so I have to come at myself from this same place. I have to come from that same beautiful place of, do I have enough love for my own self to forgive myself for this completely unintended kind of harm that I caused? And it wasn't like crazy harm. It was just like a little bit, but like, can I see myself from that light? Can I see my own self from the perspective that God sees me from? Do I have the ability to do that? I know for sure that I could see other people from that same perspective. Like if my kids made a mistake like this, I could forgive them in a heartbeat. If a friend, if a colleague, if a peer, if anybody else I knew made a mistake like this, I could forgive them in a heartbeat. But I'm sitting over here just distraught over this matter. And I wonder how many of you guys have the same kind of thing where you're like, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to, and it just turned out differently than I thought. And as soon as I, realized it, I tried to fix it, and it was too late to take it back. And you're like, wait, no, it went out of control. And we can't undo things, but we can forgive ourselves. And the longer that we sit in that like negative energy of kicking ourselves and tearing ourselves down and wishing we could undo the past, the longer we're like keeping it alive, the longer we're keeping that negativity alive and not like living in love, the longer that we are refusing to let anybody else's forgiveness take effect. And then the thing is that if you accidentally are hurting somebody else and they are really adamantly like not forgiving you, and you're trying so hard to forgive yourself, like you have to recognize that they have their free agency. They have their own choice here. And the best thing you can do for both of you is to forgive yourself. Like they get to have their own choice in the matter, and you get to move on, because that lightness that you bring to yourself, that is what the world needs from you. The world needs you to be free from that negativity. And that other person, they get to choose that if they want to. They can choose if they want to live in the negative or if they want to live in the positivity. And if they're choosing to live in the matter, scared, or stressed, then they're going to choose to see you from the worst light. And if they're going to choose to live in the sunshine and the joy and the love, then they're going to see you in the best light. Then they're going to see you in, God's perspective, right? In the perspective of higher love. And I can, I was just going through this yesterday and still today a little bit, but so I can tell you is I know that it's hard to forgive ourselves. And it's especially hard when you're like, I should have known better. I should have been able to see it sooner. I should have fixed it sooner. And we look at the past and we're like, now that hindsight's 2020, now that I can see it from this angle, I see it so much better. It's so easy to be down on ourselves. It's so easy. But we've got to stop. We've got to see ourselves from that light of love, just like we see so many other people. We see our friends and we see our kids and we see, so many other people that we're able to easily forgive these little slip-ups. But when it comes to ourselves, well, and then remember too that if there are people in your life that you are having a hard time forgiving for these little things, remember that if you were not living from a place of stress, it wouldn't be so difficult to forgive them. And that can be a really hard one to swallow if you're living from a place of stress, which aren't we all in some degree? We're all living from a place of stress. So just, I don't know, these are my thoughts today from real life things that are happening to me, and I hope that they in some way help you.